YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back in the middle of day one of NFL free agency. I'm here with our first of many grades videos. Going to grade all the signings as they're happening. There's some that are happening as I'm talking right now, going to happen during this video. We will get to them. I would like the contract details, obviously, to be able to grade, but we're going to grade a lot in this video. And then we have a tracker page for you guys. I'll put a link down below for that. Follow our Twitter, breaking news on all this. On there, instant analysis, talking trades. More trades will happen. You're going to have to follow that Twitter. I strongly recommend it. Link pinned in the comments for that, as well as our Discord, as well as our sponsors, GLD Shot, wearing their Chiefs chain right now, Liquid IV, Walk the Mock. All those links pinned in the comments. A lot going on. Let's start with one that just happened. I was about to record, but this happened, and got the graphics guy on it, and we're gonna grade it. Tremaine, the Bears have been a surprise today. Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker from the Bills, going to the Bears. And why the Bears are surprised, not because they're making some moves. We expect them to make some moves. They're making moves I didn't really expect them to make, like in the positions. We'll talk about the other ones, but they've signed linebackers and they've signed a guard. We thought they might go for tackle right away. Maybe an outside linebacker, maybe an edge, maybe a D tackle, but that all could still happen. It's just kind of the random order and maybe random where their focus is at right now. Tremaine Edmonds, I've been a big fan of since Virginia Tech. I talk about it. This guy, on his second contract is where he's going to reach his upside. It's a phenomenal player with a lot of, he's a raw prospect coming out of Virginia Tech. He played inside linebacker in the Bills 4-3. I kept preaching, I hope he goes to a 3-4 team to play inside linebacker in a 3-4. Well, he stays with a 4-3 team, but the question is, where is he going to play? The TJ Edwards signing and Tremaine Edmonds signing, very interesting. I view both those guys as inside linebackers. You need one in Eberflus, the Bears scheme over there. The way they paid Edmonds, I'd assume they play him as the weak side backer guy, kind of what Shaq Leonard played for Eberflus, which, Eberflus can get a lot out of him, what he did with Shaq Leonard, obviously a better player. Does Edmonds fit that? That's kind of the question. So this is kind of a weird one to me. I am a huge Edmonds fan. I'm a fan of this player. I'm a fan of his upside. 4 years, $72 million, $18 million per year. That is the fourth highest paid linebacker in football. I was kind of talking about $17 million per year, and I thought I would be high because I've always been high on him because I've always been high on Edmonds. I was thinking, maybe he gets a little less, somebody gets a steal. He ends up getting $18 million per year. So it's a tricky one to grade because I love the player. I love his upside. Does he fit? Is he going to play inside? Is he going to play outside? It's almost seeming like outside. I don't love the fit as much then. $18 million per year, a little more than I expected. Again, this guy has freaky talent in him. Can they get it out of him? Kind of like Justin Fields, the freaky talent in there. Can they fully get it out of him here? I like that it's, the 4 years lengthy. It's a tricky one. I gave it a B. It's a mixture of, it's a little too much. Sometimes it's okay to get overpaid here a little bit. And sometimes it's okay to overpay somebody a little bit just to get him. But a little much. I don't know if I love the fit. We got to wait and see. I know Eberflus is the guy that can get the most out of these guys. I really wanted him to be an inside linebacker specifically, switching schemes to a 3-4. Weird getting two inside linebackers. Again, you're going to have to move one's position. So it almost sounds like I would grade it worse than a B, like a based off value, B- at the very best, maybe C, C+. But I like Edmonds so much. I think Eberflus can get a lot of them out of him. So I'm going to keep it at a pretty good grade at a B here. But it is a very risky one. Another downside is, the Bears let the two right tackles go elsewhere. One got $20 million, one got $17.5 million. The Bears may be acting like, we don't want to spend that money. Well, they spent it here on a linebacker when you think maybe tackle a little bit more important, especially because they already got a pretty good linebacker. So that's kind of a downside, too, when you look at the numbers. And I'm going to keep checking my phone because things are probably going to happen here. But, yeah, so that's a tricky one there. It's kind of a wait and see. I really would liked him to stay inside linebacker. If I'm not 100%, but I get the feeling they're going to play him weak side. It's kind of weird where the Bears kind of focuses at. And maybe the first signing of the day was TJ Edwards, the linebacker from the Eagles, going to the Bears. So it was a surprise right off the bat because I did not expect the Bears to go for an inside linebacker. I thought they would add a weak side linebacker. I thought Bobby Okereke was one to watch. And they signed Edwards. There was a lot of hype about Jack Sanborn. The fans hyped about him. He played pretty well at the inside role. So this was a surprise to me, and I was kind of saying that. Everyone's like, well, Sanborn could play outside. I mean, he was much better inside. He could play outside, so they'll play Edwards inside, Sanborn outside, so the fans still hype, but then they get Edmunds. Then they have Edwards and Edmunds, so Sanborn will be going to the bench now. But what I like about it is the Bears. There's multiple things I like about this, and I actually almost bumped this down to an A, but I'm going to give it an A plus the first sign of the day. And the reason I was almost going to bump it down a little bit is because if you sign Edmunds, that big deal, who I view as an inside guy, is it great to have another signing out there that is an inside guy? So maybe I would rather have, again, they're going to play one inside, one outside, but to me, I would rather have one of those guys because you save money, and to me, they're both inside guys. So I almost bumped this down, but I'm going to keep it in an A+, because the value is, for multiple reasons. The value is tremendous at $6.5 million per year. I thought he would get more than that. It wasn't a guy that I was crazy high on as a free agent. I thought he would get more. He was playing better and better as the year went on for the Eagles. Really broke out this year. An upgrade for the Bears, the middle linebackers. So that's the other reason. Sanborn, a lot of hype, looked pretty good as a rookie, but the Bears aren't afraid to get better here. Like, hey, we got a guy that's pretty promising, but this guy, we see some good value. We can get him at $6.5 million per year. It's an upgrade. Let's go get him. I love that. So I like the mentality there. So I like that. And third reason, not just because the value in a good player, but being able, not afraid to get better, which I preach about, what I love about teams sometimes. But the third reason is they kind of set the linebacker market kind of lower. We saw Jermaine Pratt get a steal, so props to the Bears for setting it at a certain point. But then they went and signed Edmunds at a very high price, so I guess that kind of contradicts that. But there's a lot of reasons I like the numbers here on TJ Edwards and the Bears here. So nothing big's happening yet. Surprise. It always happens when a lot already happened today. But so the Bears surprisingly signed two linebackers and two guys that I view as inside guys. And this one was very recent. They signed Nate Davis, the Titans guard, to a 3-year, $30 million deal, $10 million per year. And it's a little surprising too, because did they need a guard? They have Whitehair. They have Jenkins, who's pretty promising at guard. I like him better at guard than tackle. So did they really need a guard? Did they need a right tackle? I think this could help them. They could either move on from Whitehair, save a little bit of money, and you got a younger guy here that's going to fit the system going forward. And the Bears are a rebuild team, so having the younger guys makes some sense. Or Whitehair has some experience at center. The Bears have a problem at center right now. They could move him there, and they're a little more complete. So overall, I like it. And right off the bat, I gave this one an A. It might have been a little bit less. It might have been like an A-, but Ben Powers, another guard, got $13 million per year. And I think they're pretty much in the same boat. Maybe Powers a little better perhaps, but they're pretty much in the same boat for me. So them signing Nate Davis to a little bit under that is fantastic. It's not like a wow A+ signing like Steele. How'd they do that? But I like it. I like it there. And once again, maybe not afraid to get better here with Nate Davis to the Bears. So the Bears. Jesse Bates just signed with the Falcons. There's a splash one right there. Bears get a few guys, maybe not the guys we expected or the positions we expected, so it's been interesting, to say the least, for a lot of teams, but specifically the Bears so far. All right, so Jesse Bates just signed, and Alex Anzalone just signed back with the Lions, so those guys will be in the next video. But the Broncos made some moves. We'll talk about them again in a little bit, but they signed guard Ben Powers to a 4-year, $52 million deal, average $13 million per year. Little tricky one to grade. A lot of upside with Powers. I thought he'd be going back to the Ravens. The Broncos get some guard help. It's like right in the middle of the market where some of these guards get paid. It's a little more than I thought. End up getting a little bit more than Nate Davis too. It is a little pricier than I thought. It's a tricky one because I do think they get better. I do like where he's at in the market though. It's like it's just behind Lake and Tomlinson. It's just above Andrus Peat, so he kind of fits right in there. It kind of makes some sense. I gave it a B. Right in the middle there. Like, they get better with this. Again, it's right in the middle of the market, maybe a little more than based on how he's played, but they're kind of projecting some upside here, which I could see, because he's been solid for the Ravens. That's the issue. It's such a specific scheme over there, and they're going to have to tweak, he's going to have to tweak his game maybe a little bit, or the type of scheme he's playing in. So it is a little bit of a gamble on this one. I'll go with the B. They do get better, and we'll talk about Mike McGlinchey in a little bit here. David Onyemata, which was an interesting one. He goes to a former, or his coach that was on the Saints, and Ryan Nielsen, who is now the defensive coordinator of the Falcons. They just hired him as defensive coordinator. So he's coached Onyemata. He knows what he's all about. They did need a defensive lineman, but this is kind of like a Grady Jarrett type of player. Grady Jarrett better, obviously. So that's where it threw me off a little bit. So what happens there? They play both. You can find a way, perhaps. They're both just defensive tackles to me, playing over the guard. 3-year, $35 million, average $11.6 million per year. That's pretty good value. I mean, you look at I gave it an A-. You look at the value, that's pretty good. 11.6, like I would have been good with like 12.5, 13, even, where do you start overpaying? It's probably it's 14, 14.25. That's where you start overpaying a little bit. So is it a mega steal? No, but it's pretty damn good value, I think. It's just, what does this mean about Grady Jarrett in the future? Doesn't mean anything. They get a good, solid, underrated defensive lineman, pretty good value. So I put it in A-. The Falcons just signed Jesse Bates, if you've been watching this whole video. So he'll be in the next one. It's a splash move there, for the Falcons, who traded for Jonnu Smith earlier this morning as well. It's an obvious grade here with Jonathan Jones, who I'm a fan of, the cornerback of the Patriots. A+ for the New England Patriots. A 2-year, $19 million, $9.5 million per year is a pretty good steal. I mean, that's about right for him playing in the slot, a pretty damn good slot. But he played outside last year and played pretty well there. So he's becomes very valuable to the Patriots when he can play both, and this is underpaid for a guy that can play outside. And he actually took less money to play with the Patriots, had other offers out there. You kind of have an idea on the teams that run man coverage, that kind of looking for an inside-outside guy. So this is just fantastic for the New England Patriots, an easy A+ there in New England. Javon Hargrave, one of the splash ones of the day, signs, and a little bit surprising. I mean, we knew the 49ers would be in on defensive tackles, but I didn't think they'd be looking to spend this much, break the bank on the defensive tackle here in Javon Hargrave, the Eagles star D tackle. I mean, it showed the Niners had the best defensive football, but it showed in that Eagles game, the NFC Championship game. They had a problem with the D tackle spot. I mean, Kinlaw was getting exposed. They're good out everywhere else. The Eagles exposed it, though, with that running game. If they had a guy like Hargrave, who was on the Eagles, even though they had that quarterback situation, they probably still would have lost, but it would have been a different ball game for sure. 4-year, $84 million. It's a whopping number. $21 million per year. It's a lot. It's a lot. And 4 years is a long time for Hargrave, who's 30. I'm going to assume the contract is structured in a way where it's, maybe he doesn't go, until he's 34 years old, perhaps, or maybe he does. We'll see. But yeah, first glance, a lot of money. It is a really good player, and maybe it's a little, wish it was a 3-year deal. I prefer a 3-year deal over the 4 a lot of the time here. But yes, it's another tough one to grade. I mean, this is like what the 49ers defense was missing to be even better. Like crazy, because they had a hole there. Believe it or not, the best defense football had a big hole there at the D tackle spot, and you get a really, really good one that can stop the run and provide interior pressure. Put him with Armstead, put him with Nick Bosa. Special. So I do think it's a little, I know Daron Payne kind of hurt this in that he bumped up the price because I liked him more in the 18.5 range. So 21 seems like a little bit of an overpay. Again, Payne did bump it up a little bit. Another one I'm gonna put it a B. You can argue like 4 years, maybe not the best thing in the world. 21, a little bit overpaid, but it's the Niners, and adding this piece, what they're missing to that special group, is special, very special. So we'll still give it a good grade. He's going to be lights out for the 49ers. Again, we're really not grading how the player is going to play. We're grading value, contract, things like that. We're grading fit as well. I think he fits tremendously. So we'll give that one a B. And back to the Broncos, Mike McGlinchey, who I predicted here, 5 years, $87.5 million, $17.5 million per year. Interesting one because McGlinchey's a pretty good right tackle. I thought he would get around this range. I was starting to think maybe somebody would pay him more. Maybe the Bears would pay him more than this. But you got to right around where I thought. 17.5. I think 17 makes sense to him in terms of value. They get $17.5 million per year. So be a little bit over tiny bit maybe. I mean, so many factors in this one. I do really like the fit with the Broncos. Maybe it's a little bit more than what his value is. It's one of those guys I worry about, like him leaving the 49ers. Is he going to be as good? It's like one of those places, is he going to be as good? Probably not, but he's still going to be good. It's still a big-time upgrade. I like the fit with Sean Payton's offense there. So I originally gave it a B-, but I gave another one I gave a B to. I originally gave it a B- because it's one of those guys in the back of my mind I was thinking he's probably not going to be as good away from the 49ers. So is he going to be worth that 17.5? I thought his actual value. I thought he would get around here, but his actual value I thought was a little bit less. But then Juwan Taylor gets paid $20 million. So that was after this. So it kind of made this contract look a little bit more valuable. And I think I like the fit. I think he's going to be pretty good for the Broncos. It is a little pricey at $87.5 million, 5 years. $87.5 million. It's kind of a lot there, but I give it a B for the Broncos and Mike McGlinchey. Jimmy Garoppolo, 3 years, $67.5 million. For Jimmy Garoppolo and the Raiders. And a lot of people, Jimmy Garoppolo's another one of those guys. A lot of people, rip a little bit, maybe a little bit too much for some reason, kind of like Kirk Cousins, like pretty good. I think everyone realizes they're pretty good quarterbacks. I've seen people kind of laughing at this signing, and I'm just the complete opposite. I think it's a pretty damn good signing here. And I gave it an A. 3 years, $67.5, $22.5 million per year. It's like the 18th highest paid quarterback in football. Looking at what Daniel Jones just got, looking at what Derek Carr got, Geno Smith got. I think it's a pretty good deal. Now, they had maybe a better quarterback, but you get a guy that is a better system fit, and you save a lot of money. Just can play better in the scheme. With Josh McDaniels, it makes a lot of sense there. So I think he might have some upside. Playing in the right system here, familiar system. Because remember, he was with the Patriots. Josh McDaniels was there. The Raiders and Jimmy Garoppolo might have some upside with this fit here. So I like it in terms of value. I gave this one an A. Some people are going to make fun of it, I guess. I just don't really understand that. Next, Cam Sutton and the Lions, 3 year, $33 million, average $11 million per year. What stands out is I do like Cam Sutton. He's got inside-outside versatility. I mean, he's even played safety in the past in his career, looking at Tennessee in college. It's kind of what the Lions needed with the inside-outside versatility at the cornerback positions. It's what they needed. They get a pretty good one here. So that's kind of the positive. And this is what makes it tricky to grade because maybe that, I don't want to say negative, but maybe the other side of thinking is you got to play him outside. You're paying him $11 million. It's not super expensive, but $11 million you play outside because the top slot corners in football get paid less. I mean, we're talking $9.5 million like maximum. So if he ends up, maybe he's not working out outside, he's going to play in the slot. Then you're full-time slot guy, you're paying a lot of money, $11 million per year. So that could be the downside. But at the end of the day, they needed a guy that can play outside and inside. They'll probably use him in both. I think they got a pretty good corner that's only ascending. Like, he's just getting better and better. Just so much, a lot of talent. And the versatility really stands out. Another thing, the Lions ran a lot of man coverage last year because they want to run man coverage. Cam Sutton, what did he play with Mike Tomlin? They played a lot of man coverage, so I like the fit as well. I gave it a B+ here. There is a little bit of a risk because one day it could look like you're paying a slot corner $11 million. But he's going to start on the outside. And we'll see if that works there. I think it should. But there is a little bit of risk, but we're going to give it a B+ because I like Cam Sutton. I like the fit with the Detroit Lions. See what's going on right now. That's a hell of a coincidence here because the Steelers are signing Patrick Peterson. So Steelers lose a corner and they're going to sign. They lose Cam Sutton and they're going to sign Patrick Peterson there, which is an interesting fit there. Maybe a little bit of a surprise one there. All right, moving on. Juwan Taylor was a little bit of I like the fit with the Chiefs, but a little bit of a surprising one. 4 year, $80 million. That's $20 million per year. And it sounds like they're going to move him to left tackle. So it's another tricky one to grade because I really like the player. I really like Juwan Taylor at Florida. I think he has a ton of upside. If there's a team that's going to help him reach his upside, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. So I love that. I love that. But $20 million per year is definitely more than I expected. A bit more than I expected. I know he has upside. The Chiefs are going to help him get there. They're moving to left tackle. I like him better at right, but he could play left. The Chiefs got it out of Orlando Brown Jr., moving him from right to left. He did have some experience at left, though, in the past. Orlando Brown, that is. Another tough one to grade. I gave it a B minus because I really like the player and his upside. I like the team fit where he's going to. If anyone get that upside out of him, it'd be the Chiefs with Taylor here. The downside is, why not just bring back Orlando Brown Jr. for around this range, maybe a little bit more. A guy that helped you win a Super Bowl, a guy that is worth it. I know maybe he's a little bit better of a run blocker than pass blocker, even though he's getting better at pass protection. This is more of a pass blocker than run blocker, so he does fit the Chiefs. I'm sure he'll be really good there. It is a little surprising on the price that they paid. Maybe they're a little bored. It kind of feels like, we don't want Orlando Brown back. We want another little bit of a project, see if we can get the most out of this guy. Gave it a B minus. It's a fun one. It's a fun one for sure. This was an obvious A plus. Now I'm seeing the Bengals are losing some guys as I'm Von Bell signed with the Panthers, Jesse Bates with the Falcons. They would get Okoronkwo. They just lost. I just saw seconds ago the Browns got him. But they signed Jermaine Pratt, who I think is a great linebacker that's continuing to get better. 3-year, $21 million, $7 million per year. This is probably the biggest steal of the day so far. I think the Bears with TJ Edwards might have helped them out here starting the day with that level. I think Pratt's a good amount better than him, not much more here. So I think he's underpaid right now. I think it's a phenomenal deal. I'm surprised no one else beat this. I'm surprised that the Lions didn't beat this. So 3-year, $21 million, $7 million per year. Fantastic. So it's an A plus. I want to put more pluses on the end of this, but we're going to be realistic. A plus is the realistic grade here. And then this page, there's some more signings that has happened. This page is available for everyone. If you follow us on Twitter, then you already know about it. I'll put a link down below for it. In black is this guys that signed before free agency. We're mainly talking about the guys that right in red that signed today. So some guys we didn't, and there's more signings that just are happening right now that I'll have to add to the list and get to the next video. We mentioned Von Bell signed with the Panthers. That happened a little bit ago. I don't have the numbers on that yet. I need the numbers. So some other guys here. You can see the grade, but some guys I do want to talk. Well, I want to talk about the Texans. They're kind of doing the same thing they've been doing in past years, just a small random signings, not really going and getting better. I mean, they get some help here, but I mean, they make Andrew Beck, like the second highest paid fullback. It's a versatile player. I guess he can fit. Maybe they can make him like a use check type guy, but it is a little random. Stidham goes to the Broncos. I kind of like that one. Only $5 million per year. I thought he'd go back to the Raiders. He wanted to go to the Broncos, or maybe he has a little bit more of a shot to play in the future, perhaps. What else do we got? We got Shy Tuttle was a random one for the Panthers. I heard they're gonna put him like at 3. They're gonna put him at like a 3-4 which I don't agree with. Maybe more of a nose tackle. So maybe somebody got that reporting wrong. But I didn't grade based on where they're gonna play him. But 3-year, $19.5 million at $6.5 million per year. It's just kind of random. I think that's not a spot where they needed to focus on. They need to focus on some other spots and use that money elsewhere. You got the same deal as a similar player, but a much better player in Harrison Phillips got last year. It's the same deal, actually. Pretty big difference. I know the cap is raised this year. It's a random signing. It's not, not a whole lot of value in that one. The Bills with Connor McGovern. This is the one from the Cowboys. There's 2 Connor McGoverns, guard. Best case scenario for the Cowboys, their best case offensive line scenario is when he was actually a backup, a decent, top end backup maybe. The Bills just needed to get better at the spot. They're kind of putting Band-Aids over it. So I didn't love that one from the Bills, C-. So $7.66 million seems like an overpay too. They're going to take a risk. Maybe they're going to try to hit some upside there, but they needed to get better at that spot. And they're kind of staying the same. Replacing Saffold. Are they staying the same? I don't know. Mike White, the Dolphins, 2 years, $16 million. I know he has some starting experience. I mean, he had like 1 or 2 good games, and people were getting too hyped. $8 million, $4 million more per year than Stidham. I don't know if there should be that much of a difference there. And with this, the Dolphins kind of focused on, spending a little bit on a backup quarterback. Why not go get one of the better ones? I thought maybe they'd be in on Minshew, but they're kind of saying like, we need a backup quarterback. Well, then why are you all in with Tua then? Which I'm okay with them being all in Tua, but they're almost contradicting themselves with this. And they have Skylar Thompson, but they're going to spend $8 million per year. That's a high-end price for a backup quarterback that, I don't know, and maybe he was a little too overhyped when he had like 1 good game. It's a little contradicting of a signing there. And Andrew Wiley is a sneaky decent one here. 3-year, $24 million, $8 million per year to the Commanders, sticking with Bieniemy and put him at right tackle, maybe put Cosme inside or put him at left tackle, probably at guard. I think it's a pretty good value. I mean, he's been kind of the weaker spot of the Chiefs' offensive line, but it's been a really good offensive line. I thought he played his ass off in the Super Bowl. He played very well. I think it's an upgrade for the Commanders, $8 million per year. The only downside here is, you spend $8 million per year. Why not spend, a little bit more, or maybe a little bit more than that, and just get better? Plain and simple, like clear cut, we're getting better at the spot. Like, I think you get a little bit better here, and it is pretty good value. Why I gave him a B+, but that maybe that's a little bit of a downside. The Josh Oliver sign with the Vikings was a weird one. 3-year, $21 million, $7 million per year. He's a really good blocking tight end. It just threw me off on that one. I ended up giving that one a D+. I mean, the plus is tacked on 'cause it's only $10 million guaranteed per year, or total. So they could end up only paying the $10 million. So that's, I guess, okay. But they have TJ Hawkinson. I guess you want to get a blocker in there. That was weird that was kind of their focus. I mean, a lot of tight ends end up looking good for the Ravens. It's kind of the tight end team of football, so maybe they got him a little overpaid here. I thought Johnny Munt was a pretty good blocker. The Vikings seem to be blocking fine on the outside. It's more on the inside because their tackles are pretty good. They had pretty good blocking from Munt. I think Hawkinson could do it too. But the interior, like center and maybe that Ingram spot, which he's going to continue to get better. They can live with Cleveland, obviously. But yeah, just so focused on spending $7 million per year on a blocking tight end, a little confusing. Texans making some. I like the fit of Winovich, actually. And Ridgeway fits because he played with D'Amico Ryans, but you're paying $4 million per year. Spend a little bit more and get a starter, So I like the fit of Ridgeway because of Ryans, but I don't know. Spend a little bit more and get a starter. I was surprised the Browns spend a big amount of money. I mean, not huge, but big amount of money on a center, $6 million per year. It's not a whole lot. Postage was really good for them. He's worth that, so they get a B+. Reason it's not an A, it feels like the Browns could spend very, very little like they did with Postage last year and make the guy good because that's the offensive line, the way it's coached, the way it is, what's around him. But still, overall, it's pretty good value to B+. More Texans small moves. We talked about the Bears moves. Anything else I want to talk about here? I'll have this page for everyone. We'll try to keep it updated. I got to add some more to this. I got to start working on that second video because everyone's probably wondering where those signings are. There's signings happening nonstop. So, and you can see the free agency signings, and there was a Lindstrom extension I threw on there for shits and giggles. So we got a lot on here. We got a lot. Hope I explained all of it here. A little surprised the Texans are doing the same thing they've been doing. I mean, these guys are decent backups that they're getting, but I thought maybe they would turn it around this year, and then there's still some good guys out there, so that they could here. But a lot more signings just happened while I was talking, so I got to get to that. But that's gonna wrap up this video. Definitely a lot more of these to come. We got you guys covered. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. It's very important for instant analysis, instant news, more rumors. Check it out. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.